corporate headquarters here in Long Island City, New York. The Brewster Building, where we stand today, is standing proof of JetBlue's long-term commitment to New York City and the Empire State. It actually has an interesting aviation heritage. It's originally where the Brewster Aeronautic Company started. The building was built in 1911. This is where they built the F-2A, which was also known as the Brewster Buffalo, which was a U.S. Navy aircraft that flew in World War II. Today we are here to celebrate JetBlue's specially designed 200,000 square foot facility that will allow JetBlue, New York's official hometown airline, to continue moving forward in our second decade. As you'll see, it's designed specifically for JetBlue, has some unique JetBlue cultural touches, and it really brings the JetBlue brand alive. There's been tremendous partnership to arrive today at Long Island City, and we are very pleased to introduce so many friends, colleagues, and real teamwork that got us here at Long Island City. We will start today. I'd like to turn over the microphone to New York City's very own mayor, Michael Bloomberg.
James, thank you, and good morning to everyone. This really is a wonderful day for New York, and it's been a long time coming, but I think it's an affirmation of what we all know. New York is the place to have a business. New York is the place to have a corporate headquarters in particular, no matter what your business is. JetBlue means a lot to New York City, and New York, I think, also means a lot to JetBlue. JetBlue is a real fixture in New York City. It is one of our major employers. More than 4,300 of their crew members work at our airports and our aircraft maintenance facilities, and approximately 1,000 more, including nearly 100 the company is bringing in from Connecticut, will manage corporate operations from these beautiful new offices. And I'm very confident that you're going to see even further growth here as JetBlue service in and out of our city continues to expand. As the largest domestic carrier at Kennedy Airport, JetBlue has played a huge role in making us the nation's #1 travel destination. And I have Pat Foy's word for it. He's going to accommodate JetBlue in everything they need. So there you are, Pat. Just to put a little bit of pressure on you for JetBlue. Now, Pat's making a big difference at the Port Authority, and JetBlue depends on the Port Authority. They use our airports here. This summer, JetBlue is also going to double its operations at LaGuardia with flights to new cities as well as expanded service to existing departures. And as most of you probably know, last year was a record-setting year for tourism in New York. More than 50 million people came to the Big Apple. And now our administration has set a goal of welcoming 55 million visitors a year to our city by the year 2015. JetBlue's expansion is going to do a lot to help us hit that target, and that makes JetBlue really a key part of a travel and tourism industry that supports something like 320,000 jobs and pumps $32 billion a year into our city's economy. These new corporate offices also say a lot about how important New York is to JetBlue. This is the greatest city in the world and the best place in the world, I think, to do business. And our business environment just keeps getting better. If you take a look around you, when you go outside Long Island City and the rest of Northwest Queens, what were once abandoned industrial sites are now all being transformed into new residential areas at Hunters Point South, for example, new offices along Queens Plaza, and also the open spaces that this community needs. In fact, just before this, some of us unveiled the neighborhood's newest green space, named by New Yorkers in an online contest. It's called Dutch Kills Green, and it's just down. Yes, you're going to. It's just down the street from JetBlue and its new neighbors here at the Brewster Building. And you know, parks are one of the things that differentiate cement from cities. They make a city livable. They make people want to live here and work here and happy about where they're working and living, and it's going to help JetBlue and help all of the neighbors. It is part of our now complete $45 million refurbishing of Queens Plaza that has made it far more attractive, and that has in turn helped attract new restaurants and hotels and cultural attractions here. And for more than 10 years, people have been talking about Long Island City's bright future as New York's next great central business district. I think it's fair to say now that JetBlue has arrived, it means that the future is now. JetBlue also gives New York also gives JetBlue employees a great quality of life. This is a location that has fast and convenient public transportation to and from work, public schools for kids, if you live in the neighborhood, that continue to improve and set the standard for big city schools across the nation, as well as parks, cultural institutions, and sports and entertainment venues that give New York life such zest. In fact, all the good reasons why people come to New York as tourists on JetBlue planes are also good reasons why JetBlue is expanding its corporate headquarters here. And by doing that, they are casting a major vote of confidence in New York City's future. They really are making a difference in our city. And I just wanted to say thank you to the stockholders and the employees of JetBlue for the confidence that all of them have shown in New York. JetBlue's headquarters are here as much because their employees wanted to be here as anything else. It's good business for them, it's good for us, and it says good things about the future of New York City.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And now I'm very pleased to introduce a gentleman who requires no introduction, JetBlue's favorite uncle. As if we were, when we were being born into New York, I think Senator Chuck Schumer was in the delivery room helping give delivery to JetBlue. He's a special place in our hearts as New York's hometown airline. It's a real privilege to have with us our favorite uncle, Senator Chuck Schumer. Please join me in welcoming.
Does your wife know you get an introduction like that?
Yes, delivery room. I was in the delivery room with my wife twice. Anyway, no, it's true. I'm so glad to be here with the mayor and Congresswoman Maloney, who's been a great representative of Queens for many years, and redistricting has kept her there. In the Senate, we don't have redistricting. We're very happy about that. Councilman Van Bramer, State Senator Gianaris, and Borough President Helen Marshall, and the great JetBlue team led by Dave Barger. They're just great. And even though Dave and we exchange sports trivia all the time, and he is, truth be told,
Sir?
a Detroit Tiger fan. He's a New Yorker through and through.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I have a great deal of pride being here. There are 2 points I want to make. What's this delivery room thing that the mayor was making snide comments about? Here's what happened. I campaigned in 1998 on bringing better air service to upstate New York. You would get on a little propeller plane. They charge you $800. On a nice day, they'd give you a bag of peanuts. And so 2 weeks after I won election in 98, a man calls me up and he says, "My name is David Nealman. I'd like to create the Southwest of the Northeast." I said, "Okay." He comes and visits me. We have breakfast at a coffee shop, and he said, "You can roll a bowling ball," these were his words, "down the runways of Kennedy Airport before 3 p.m. because all the flights are international and they're evening flights. If you get me 75 slots," which was huge, one slot is huge, at Kennedy Airport, "I will create the Southwest of the Northeast." I said to him, "That's great, it'll bring down costs, we need a good competitive airline, but I had one condition." I said, "You have to fly to Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Albany right at the beginning." He said, "Let me check that out." He went back and checked out that People Express had done it, and he came back 2 weeks later. He flew back from Salt Lake City, that's where he's from, and said, "Okay, I'll fly to Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. I can't fly to Albany, it's too close." And I looked up at them and I said, "I met an honest man." And we worked real hard, President Clinton, Rodney Slater, these transportation secretary, to make sure they kept their word. It was 25 slots a year for 3 years. The flights began to Buffalo, Rochester, and Syracuse. They only promised 3. There are more than 3 in each of them. And JetBlue has grown into an amazingly great airline. You travel JetBlue, and you know you're being treated well. I travel it a lot, and you know that the people, the crew, whether they be the people who handle the luggage, the pilots, the flight attendants, are really dedicated and happy. It has an esprit de corps, as the people here will attest, better than most any other airline. And to boot, it's a New York airline. Now, they've learned. Look what happened when TWA and Pan Am left New York. They went under. I remember when American left New York. Mr. Casey was the head of American, left to go to Dallas. He's bankrupt. When you leave New York as an airline, something bad happens. And JetBlue has learned that we have the best workforce, we are the best location, and we're a great place for any corporation to have its headquarters and do business. Does it cost a little more? Absolutely. Do you make up for it more than triple in terms of the workforce, in terms of the quality of people, in terms of the generation of ideas and excitement? Absolutely. And Dave and I had discussions when they were thinking maybe of going to a place that wouldn't have done them much good. I won't say where because they're still active down there, but it was further south. And New York's workforce is the real determination. So JetBlue is a New York company through and through, but a national and international company through and through with a fabulous future. And these headquarters in a booming part of New York, Long Island City, we are growing. Our headquarters are not just in Midtown Manhattan. Brooklyn is growing, Queens is growing, the Bronx is growing, Staten Island is growing. And one final thing I would say, tourism is really important to our city and state. It's one of our most important industries. JetBlue is part of that. It's part of the business fabric, but it's part of the tourism fabric. And we're doing lots of things in Washington to help increase the number of tourists come. We just got legislation to allow quicker processing of visitor visas. People in China in particular often have to travel 800 miles, wait a weekend in a foreign city, get interviewed, and maybe get a visa 6 months later. We're trying to change all of that, and that will augur well for both JetBlue, to me, just the greatest airline we have in the United States, and tourism for New York, the world's capital of tourism. So this is a great day for New York, and I'm proud to be part of it, and I hope the Yankees beat the Tigers.
Thank you, Senator. And before I introduce Congresswoman Maloney, I promised her that I would disclose that I was a skeptic and a cynic that the great Fresh Kills Park that we just unveiled today would or would not happen out front. And I told her I would publicly acknowledge that they've done some great work working with the city and the Parks Department. And if you haven't seen the park, we encourage you to check it out today because it's a real testament to the rebirth and growth that's happening here in Long Island City. So please join me in welcoming Congresswoman Maloney.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, and it's a great pleasure to be here in Long Island City, which is quickly becoming the place to be in New York City. And it's great to be here with Mayor Bloomberg and his team, Amanda Burden, and all of the people that have worked in the Economic Development Office to help make this happen and to help build the beautiful park, along with our great Borough President Helen Marshall, who was in numerous meetings on all of this, our great Senator Schumer and Senator Gianaris and Councilmember Jimmy Van Bramer. And I really want to congratulate JetBlue's CEO, Dave Barger, and all of his team for his decision to move to Queens Plaza. And we welcome him from the LIC, from the Community Board. I see many of our community leaders here to welcome JetBlue and thank them for their decision to come here to Queens. JetBlue is going to be a great partner for this rapidly growing business community. Just a few minutes ago, as he mentioned, across the street, we unveiled the new name for a new park, Dutch Kills Green, which was created in part with a $20 million grant from the federal government. We wanted to make sure we had a great welcome for JetBlue, a beautiful park, a painted bridge, a whole new spiffy neighborhood to just show how much we appreciate their coming here. And I believe that their decision to come here in part was encouraged not only by the mayor's office and the mayor and all of his people, but this wonderful, welcoming community and the beautiful park and work that we're doing to improve the community. The project is helping to ensure that Long Island City will continue to grow as one of New York City's biggest central business district and the biggest business district in Queens. And while we're celebrating JetBlue's decision to stay here, we ought to recognize something that throughout its 12-year history of flying out of New York, JetBlue has consistently come through for us. JetBlue is truly New York's hometown airline. In 2008, JetBlue doubled down on New York and opened Terminal 5 in JFK. That was a huge movement forward. And like true New Yorkers, they aren't afraid to show their love for New York City. The iconic I Heart New York. Their logo is emblazoned high on the tails of many of JetBlue's aircraft. JetBlue's new office in this historic building will soon be the place for many new workers, along with the others that they have at the airport, and many of them will be working in a state-of-the-art system operations center, helping to ensure the safety and promptness of flights. The space itself is designed and uses an open office design. It's very modern and beautiful, and it just gets better. They just got a LEED Silver certificate from the U.S. Green Business Council for their natural light and their energy efficiency. Too many people in my district and across this city are struggling to find jobs or worried about losing ones. And in these trying times, it's great to see businesses like JetBlue who understand that there's no better place to work and provide jobs and expand than in the Big Apple. And JetBlue's continued investment in our cities means more jobs for New Yorkers. And I might say they are continuing their blue theme. We now have the Yankees, we have the Mets, we now have JetBlue. So the mosaic keeps growing. This is a wonderful addition. It is a new horizon for Queens, JetBlue, and our great city. I am thrilled to be here to welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. It's a privilege to introduce another very special friend, Queens Borough President Helen Marshall.
Let's hear it for JetBlue. I want to tell you that JetBlue brought a whole different attitude towards air travel. I wish you were going to Albany when I was in the state legislature.
He said it was too close.
Okay, yeah, I heard that. At any rate, I love what they do, and I spoke to Mr. Barger. He was right across the street from us in the Con Edison building, and I called him one day, and my whole thing was I have to convince him to stay in New York, and especially to stay in Queens. And he said, Miss Marshall, I love Queens, and I always wanted to stay here. That's what you said. Absolutely. Okay, that's what you said. And you know what? We're happier than you are that you're here, because your whole line of service on the airlines is very, very different. When you ride on JetBlue, you feel like a person, you know, not somebody snatching your food and things like that. And so on behalf of the 2.3 million people of Queens, we welcome you. Okay.
Thank you, Helen. JetBlue's also pleased to introduce State Senator Michael Gianaris.
Thank you. What a terrific day in the ongoing renaissance of the Queensboro Plaza area. You heard about the park that opened up down the block, and we have this announcement in this great building with this great company today. I want to thank the mayor. He has taken a keen interest in making sure that Queensboro Plaza develops into the future, and this is just one of many steps. The Department of Health building opened up here a little while back, just across Queensboro Plaza, across the street from here, and JetBlue's arrival just heralds the next big step in the ongoing, continuing progress of this part of the city. Now, we would welcome all these entities here, and we're thrilled to have them, but this is special because JetBlue is, in fact, New York's hometown airline, and not just New York's hometown airline, but Queens' hometown airline. We take a sense of pride and ownership in their presence here and in the fact that they've continued to call Queens home as well. I'm not just an excited representative of this area, I'm also a customer. So next week I'll be on the JetBlue flight to Buffalo, so Senator Schumer, thank you for that as well. I do frequently avail myself of the in-state route, so Senator Schumer, Uncle Schumer, or whatever they call it, thank you for making that happen. It's a lot nicer to fly those JetBlue flights than the Uncle Chuck, excuse me, than those prop planes they used to fly up there. So thank you so much for that, and thank you everyone who works at JetBlue and who makes the flying experience such a pleasant one. We are so happy to have you here and look forward to continuing to work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Please also join me in giving a great JetBlue welcome to Council Member Jimmy Van Bramer.
Thank you very much. It's tough to follow all of these wonderful speakers and say something new or different or interesting, but I just want to say to JetBlue, I'm a little disappointed there are not blue potato chips all over this room for everybody. I want to also say, Dave, I am a frequent flyer as well. I love the New York to Puerto Rico route. Very, very good and efficient. And I want to say, because there was reference to the Tigers and the Yankees, this is the borough of Queens, so we hope the Mets beat both the Yankees and the Tigers. Let's be clear. I know the mayor cares deeply about that issue.
We'll be there with you.
That's right. Tomorrow will be at opening day. It's very, very exciting. And I also want to say that JetBlue's arrival here in Long Island City is a wonderful, wonderful thing. But the truth is that Long Island City has arrived in a very, very profound way. And we often I would say, overstate things sometimes in politics, but you cannot overstate the fact that Long Island City, Queens Plaza, Dutch Kills are in the middle of a rebirth that is unparalleled, and JetBlue's arrival, along with our Dutch Kills Green Park, are just two more very, very real, concrete examples of this transformation and the commitment on the part of the mayor and of Seth Pinsky and of Commissioner Benepe and the administration, as well as the local elected officials, to make sure that Long Island City, which is the gateway to Queens, the gateway to Long Island City and the gateway to Queens as people come off the Queensboro Bridge, it is the first place that people see as they enter this amazing borough. And how profound is it that now we have the world headquarters of JetBlue Airlines, a great airlines. We have a beautiful, beautiful park. We have amazing greenery. We have the Department of Health headquarters in Gotham across the street. This is something that a lot of people would never have imagined would have happened 10 years ago, just 10 years ago. This is very, very historic for this area. And I want to just thank a lot of the residents of Long Island City who are here, Dutch Kills, Jerry Walsh, George Stamatiadis, I see Sheila Lewandowski from the Chocolate Factory, Gail Barron and the team from the Long Island City Partnership. These are folks who have been doing this work for years, who have been here, have fought the good fight, who have let everybody know that this area is a home for many, many people, has been. It is a place of business. It is a cultural mecca. Long Island City is a cultural mecca. All of that is so, so important. So I want to thank them for doing the work, thank the administration for recognizing that this place is more than just a throughway. It is a destination, and now it is the headquarters of JetBlue Airlines. We are very excited. Thank you very much.
And before I turn over to our CEO, Dave Barger, we would not be complete without hearing some words from a very important partner of JetBlue, and that is the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Our good friend Bill Dakota used to remind us that the Port Authority runs the largest aviation network in the world, and they would say with great pride, and we are very pleased to be associated with the Port Authority as great partners. And so please welcome me in joining the Executive Director, Pat Foy.
Thanks very much. I'm going to be brief because Uncle Chuck has a JetBlue flight to catch, and I don't want to stand in the way of that. I want to begin by, Dave, to you and your crew members, congratulations and thanks from Governor Cuomo. One of the things we're celebrating today is a partnership of the state, Ken Adams and ESDC, Mayor Bloomberg, Seth Pinsky, and EDC coming together with a great private sector company like JetBlue to create jobs. 1,000 jobs here, about 4,500 jobs in the city and state of New York, and jobs that have been attracted from other parts of the country, and that's something to celebrate. The Port Authority's relationship with JetBlue goes back to the very beginning. First JetBlue flight was JFK to Fort Lauderdale a little over 10 years ago. Dave, that was an incredible achievement after Senator Schumer was able to give birth, and that's something that that's something we celebrate. In these
modern science at work.
Absolutely. In these tough times where a lot of our friends and neighbors are out of work, the fact that we're able to celebrate job creation today in my home borough of Queens, Borough President, I grew up in Jackson Heights, and is an incredible, incredible achievement. 1,000 people here in Long Island City is something to celebrate. Lastly, I just want to mention briefly short-term and long-term things that every flyer into one of the Port Authority's 3 major airports is going to experience soon. Short-term improvements in customer service, more red jacket personnel, cleaner restrooms and the like. We'll be announcing that going forward. And you're going to see significant capital investment from both the Port Authority and the private sector at all three of our major airports. So on behalf of the governor, congratulations, Dave, to you and your crew members, and thanks.
Thank you, Pat.
Good job, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. Before we introduce Dave, JetBlue would also like to thank Amanda Burden, Chair of the New York City Planning Commission, and Gail Barron from the Long Island City Partnerships. They've been instrumental in helping JetBlue arrive in LIC. And so with no further ado, it's a real pleasure to introduce JetBlue's Chief Executive Officer, Dave Barger.
Thanks, James. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's such a warm room. I think I'm the last speaker, and so we'll put a bow on it and allow people to go on their business and their day and catch flights and what have you. If I may, on behalf of our 14,000 crew members, over 1,000 who are now working here, Mayor Bloomberg, thank you for joining us today. All of your support that we've seen over this, not just with the move, but over certainly your administration, just terrific. Senator Schumer as well, just since day one, I remember the coffee talk as well, Senator. Thank you for your support. Congresswoman Maloney, certainly so nice to spend time with you today as we were over at Dutch Kills Green. And the vision with the $20 million worth of investment taking place in Dutch Kills. And as we look at the time here with Helen and Jimmy and Michael and if I may with Pat Foy, Pat can't tell you how much we appreciate the support of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And not just with our home base of operations at JFK, and soon even more growth out of JFK, but across your airport network. So thank you so much, Pat. And if I may, really, I'm here on behalf of 14,000 crew members, and here they are, right? And so, yes, absolutely. You are the JetBlue experience, and I'll never forget when we were talking about the competition. We were in Forest Hills, and this is a New York-based company. This is our home. This is our heart. This is our soul. And the mayor mentioned in the bullpen that, Dave, you'll never find better talent anywhere in the world than here in New York City, here in New York State, and you're so true. And we see that here, and again, now to have over 1,000 jobs here in Long Island City and 14,000 strong and growing, you're absolutely right. When I go back in the history books, that first coffee discussion that we had, first flight in the year 2000, we're now into our second decade. And it's absolutely amazing because we can get caught up in the numbers and our growth at Kennedy Airport, the largest airline at JFK, certainly the largest domestic airline in New York City. Across the Empire State, we serve 7 cities across the Empire State. We're the largest airline between downstate and upstate. Tremendous commerce that's taking place every day. And so on across the Caribbean, across Latin America, across our route destination, now 72 cities that we've announced, and we're growing. And I think that's a little bit different when you take a look at many different airlines in the airline industry. And this next chapter, when you start to move into this facility, Jim talked about the history of this building. We're going to do a brief walkthrough of our System Operations Center. Alex, I see you back there. Thank you for leading the charge. And I mean, that is a state-of-the-art facility as we do a ribbon cutting, and then everybody will be allowed to go on their way. But this is a really cool building. I mean, 200,000 square feet here in the historic Brewster building, dating back to 1911. But the ability for us to really put everything together in a JetBlue way, this is a really significant day for our company. If I may, I would certainly take this opportunity to recognize many people who put it together. I'll be brief, but I think it's very important. And I think Joanna Garrity, leading our Project Hometown team, our Chief People Officer, Mark Powers, our Chief Financial Officer, Rich Smythe, who heads up corporate real estate. Raise your hands. Thank you to you and the Project Hometown team. Absolutely a great job. And I know that the vision and the leadership has to be implemented. And Rob Bertelsmann, Mary Neff, please raise your hand. Great job, guys, in terms of making it happen. We had a seamless move as we consolidated from Forest Hills and Darien, Connecticut into this facility over close to 2,000 hours practicing next door. We had to prove to the FAA operational control of our airline from this facility, and also get people used to how do you get to work, where do you park, where's the subway stations, etc. Where's the greenscape, the landscape, how does the subway system work? Thank you for the painting, by the way. It's just terrific in terms of the subway lines. But Rob, Mary, you guys really made it happen. The business partners, right, because we're an airline, this is what we do for a living. I'll tell you, the work of HLW International, our lead design team, absolutely terrific. Graf and Lewent, who designed our system operations team next door. Turner Construction, the interiors group, who was also behind the construction of Terminal 5, and I hope the expansion here in the not too distant future at Terminal 5. Jones Lang LaSalle, who was our broker. TLM, our project manager. MetLife, our landlord, and the Browse family, who are here today as well. Please give them a round of applause. Great job. Of course, we have the New York City Economic Development Corporation, and Seth, just great stuff with you and your team. And as we think about the Empire State Development Corporation, led by Ken Adams as well, and Kathy Wild with the partnership, thank you for leading the business charge here in New York State, and certainly here in New York City as well. If you could please help me give them a round of applause. Really appreciate the support. I'll close by saying this is a support center. Our word, our vernacular is a little bit different. We don't use headquarters that often. Our crew members, we really don't use the word employees. We think we're a little bit of a different brand, a contrarian brand. As you walk through this space, even though it's historic, it's cool, it's crisp, it's collaborative, it brings people together. It is, when you think about just, it's forward-leaning. And when you work with the firms that we worked with and the companies that have really outfit this beautiful building, and by the way, this feel free to use the space because we're part of the community along those lines. We've opened it up to other constituents for meetings and what have you, but we're really, really excited about what this means. Long Island City is our home. It's part of our heart. It's part of our soul. You can see the Milton Glaser design behind me with the I Heart New York campaign. I just want to say on behalf of our 14,000 crew members, thanks for coming out today. Thanks for the vision. Thanks for the trust. Thanks for the confidence. We really appreciate it. Have a great day. Thank you.
And with that, JetBlue would like to present model aircraft to all of our distinguished speakers with our sincere thanks. We thank you all for joining, and following the aircraft presentation ceremony, we will move to the ribbon cutting at our reception lobby. We invite you to join us there. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Pretty heavy.
These are Pratt & Whitney and Rolls.
Good guy. He's less than $50.